This is Lisa Marie from Artistry by Lisa Marie. Welcome to the studio. Okay, last time I colored in the fur for this lynx right here. Did a whole thing about how to color in fur and all that wonderful stuff. Today, I am going to play with Ohuhu markers and color pencils and fill in the rest. My kids are gone for the day, so I thought it would be fun to just play around and relax and enjoy some quiet studio time. And I thought I would share that with all of you. So what I'm doing first is I've already picked the colors that I wanted for this lovely wreath that I drew quite a while ago. And I'm just going to take my markers and block in the colors. The markers today are Ohuhu markers. I like them because they're blendable, and I also like them because they play nicely with Prismacolor pencils, which I will be putting on over the markers. So I'm just gonna have a little bit of fun here, blocking in my shadows and blocking in my colors first. This is one of my grayscale coloring pages that I drew. It's actually part of a series I did, a bunch of animals and wreaths. It was really fun to draw them, and now I'm having fun coloring them. And I'm using the brush, fine brush tip end of the markers today because I want to get in here and do a lot of detail work. And this one is going to be red also. I planned the colors. I didn't exactly map out exactly where the colors were all going to go. Welcome to the creative process, where sometimes I just wing it. But it's the summer, and I'm enjoying some quiet time in the studio. So I have no complaints. For those of you who don't know, I have two small, very active, rambunctious boys who I love, but it is not so easy getting any quiet studio time when they're around. So I have to be a little bit of an opportunist when they're gone and take advantage of the quiet time when I can. Just blocking out some shadows with these markers. In a minute, you'll see me using the next color. Because these markers are blendable, I like to have dark, medium, and light colors when I go over the grayscale with the markers. And I say that a lot in a lot of my videos. Whenever you're doing grayscale, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. One dark, one medium, and one light. So there's the dark. And that, by the way, was R8 Geranium. And I'll write all the colors for you in the video description as well. This one is R1 Coral Pink, because also, if you've ever watched my other videos, you know I often forget to say the color that I'm using. because I just get kind of wrapped up in the whole coloring process. So here we have the medium color. So there was a dark, this is the medium. It's putting it right over the dark red. And a little bit further into the lighter areas. And one thing is that these colors, you know, they blend together, but it's not instant. It takes a few moments for the colors in the Ohuhu markers to sort of merge or blend or bleed, whatever you want to call it, together. So it's not instant gratification. Just sort of nice to remind myself sometimes to go slow and be patient, which is not always my strong suit. Sometimes I just want to immediately see, you know, fantastic results. And that doesn't always happen when I'm coloring. The nice thing, though, about using Ohuhu markers or markers as the underpainting or the underlayer of color before I use pencils is the markers really make this beautiful, rich underlayer of color. And it looks fantastic with pencils over it. I really like having a rich under painting of color. Just filling this in. And one of the reasons why also I like doing the dark, medium, and light sort of approach is I like getting, you know, instantly, basically, that sense of volume. Even with this underpainting, yeah, I have to go slow, but I'm already getting a sense of volume and depth just by having the different colors, the dark, medium, and light. This is our 20 powder pink. See, I'm doing so good remembering to say the numbers and the names. I'm so proud of myself. Yes, my phone is on. You're going to hear it ding on occasion. My kids are out, but I'm still a mom, so my phone has to be on in case they need anything. They're at a play date right now. But my phone is on in case anyone needs to get a hold of me. I know, that's a huge faux pas. You're not supposed to do it when you're recording a video, but I'm always on call for my kiddos. So if you hear a ding from my phone, just ignore it. And this is the lighter color. So now, look at that beautiful underpainting. And it can go right over the dark and the medium colors that I already put down. They can all blend together. They can all be friends. Look at that. How pretty are these red hues together? I absolutely love that. And of course, I don't want to just have just red. I love red. Red is one of my favorite colors, but it can steal the show. So, mix it up with these other flowers with some fantastic purple. And this is P2 Light Violet. Yeah, it has light in the name, but it is a very rich, dark purple color. I guess if you put it in comparison to, say, a black, it wouldn't look so dark, but in this particular color palette, with these flowers, it is one of the darker colors. Still using the paint tip brush fine point here, getting all the details. Yeah, man. There we go. Beautiful. I love how quiet it is. I do lots of arts and crafts with my boys when they let me, and it is never this quiet when we do, you know, crayon time. It's kind of nice, but I also love seeing them, you know, doing their own art. They have their own unique perspective. And it's also a good reminder for me to just have fun sometimes and just play. I think that, I don't know, how does that happen? Where one moment, you know, we're kids, we're just playing and it's art and it's fun. And then all of a sudden everything has to be perfect. And even when we color, you know, coloring pages, so often, you know, I see people or hear people talk about how they want their coloring pages to be perfect. I think it's important to remember that you can just relax and have fun. That's actually been proven with coloring pages, by the way, that when you color, if you're not comparing yourself to other people and you're just enjoying, you know, the experience of coloring, it's actually very relaxing. It can, I was reading something the other day about it. It can lower high blood pressure, help relieve anxiety, become a almost a form of meditation when you just focus on the coloring and don't try to be a perfectionist or compare yourself to others. Of course, it's easier said than done, right? I mean, there are times when you just want to, you know, do something or have something work or look the way you expect. And that can be really frustrating when it doesn't happen. Okay. Dark, then medium, which is our 11 Mauve Shadow. Get our medium going. And now if you look at some of these reds, you can see how the colors have sort of blended and softened together because they had the time. Doesn't happen instantly, but they do blend. Slowly. That's another reason why I thought this might be nice today. Having a quiet coloring, no rush experience. For those who don't know, I also do custom pet portraits, and that is the opposite of coloring pages for me. There is no, just sort of, oh, I'll just relax and whatever happens, happens. That I have to be very precise. I can't just make up features in custom portraits, obviously. So this is a really nice treat for me to have a quiet coloring moment. And yes, if you hear my squeaky studio chair, I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if I just need to get a new one or if I just need to get WD-40. Every time I shift in this chair, it is very squeaky. Here we go. Of course, my kids love this chair. It's on wheels, so they think it's just like the most fun thing ever. And then we want this, which is the V020 Pale Lilac. They, they're kids. They like to race in this chair. Because it's on wheels. Look at that. Beautiful. Extra touch of light color. Oh, it blends so nicely with those other colors. And I'm just going to put it right over that medium tone. They can blend together. Give them a few minutes to do that. Look at that. Look how pretty that is. Just getting that all in there. Oh, the paper I'm using today, before I forget, is the Vellum Bristol cardstock paper. I'll put links to that in the video description if you want to go check it out. The reason why I use this paper, why I use a heavier cardstock paper, is because I want the tooth. I want the texture. I want the extra durability of this paper. I am doing a lot today with these many layers of marker and then the pencil over the top. I need paper that's gonna survive the beating, and this paper can. I do play it safe. I do put extra paper underneath just to catch any marker that goes through, and that's just the nature of using marker. It can go through. Especially considering all the layers of marker that I do. So I just put an extra backup piece of paper under it, but I really like having a thicker cardstock paper when I do this. Ta-da! Look at that. Wow, those colors just pop. I love it. Okay, Next, we're gonna do the leaves. So I'm gonna do first dark, medium, and light. So this is GY2 grass green. And again, all the colors will be written in the video description. Just in case I forget to say it out loud, you can always look in the video description for the colors that I'm using. Because I just forget sometimes to say what I'm doing. Summer playdates for me are almost like a little mini summer vacation. So mentally, I can tap out a little bit. Welcome to my mom life. Alright, so we're getting just the darker green blocked in here. And I love this green too. This is such a gorgeous green. Rich, it's bright, I love it. Gonna get these nice darker areas filled in. Trying to not miss any as I go, which I've totally done before. You ever do that? You try to go section by section or color by color, and then you realize you miss an entire section because you're just so focused. Then you have to go back. Here we go. I planned my color palette for all of these last night. So I, grabbed the markers I wanted to use and the colored pencils. But something to keep in mind is, it's okay to test colors on scrap paper before you get started. So if you're not sure, how the colors are going to look together, how are they going to blend together, it's okay to test your colors. Just trying to fill in all of these. How pretty is that? Any other wide leaves? See, I know I'm going to miss some. Ah, over here. Haha. Go. And the shading, nice part about grayscale is it's already done for you, so you know where the lighting is coming from. The shadows are all on this side, so the light is coming from this direction. If that helps at all with your sense of where the lighting is and how that's working. Okay, so this is GY1 pale green. I am so proud of myself for remembering to say the colors so far. And this isn't extremely lighter than that other green. It's a bit lighter. I don't know if you can tell. It's going to go right over that dark green. Again, they're going to just blend together. I wanted these green leaves to be very rich, so went with this particular dark and medium hues, just because they're like super nice, rich, dark color. Not dark, dark, but you know what I mean. Rich. Rich greens. Also, markers go very fast on paper. Hello, what are you? I have no idea. Okay. So it can actually, you know, I just talked about going slow, but but they can actually speed up the coloring process a little bit. If I draw a lot with colored pencils, but when I use markers, I notice it goes a lot faster. But I still like my colored pencils. I love the detail that I can get with them. Precision work is really nice with colored pencils. I often use Prismacolor pencils. Prismacolor are really good for layering. They play nicely with, like I said, Ohuhu markers. They're not the most luxurious, expensive colored pencils you can get, but they're not the cheapest either. There we go. Alright, there's dark, there's medium, and the light today is GY6 Anise. And it's the lightest color. It's going to blend with the other two colors that I've been using, and it's just going to go right over them. And it is a yellow hue, this lighter color. But it'll blend nicely with the green because, you know, yellow is a part of green. Yellow and blue make green. If you're ever worried about whether or not colors will blend well together, again, that scrap paper test is useful. But you can also look at a color wheel. If a color helps make another color, like yellow helps make green, chances are it will blend well with that color, at least for markers. I'm not saying it'll give you the exact look you're going for, but chances are it will blend. And now, you know, the purple has had time, and you can see how the colors are much softer in the purple flowers. Just have to be a bit patient, which is not my strong suit. Sometimes I think I use up all my patience with my children, and I have none left after that, especially in the studio with myself. Okay. So we have the flowers, we have these leaves, the wider leaves. Next, the thin leaves. So these longer, thin leaves, I'm gonna do another green, GY3 Bud Green. I drew a lot of thin leaves in this wreath. Oh my gosh. You can tell if I was enjoying drawing something because I'll draw a lot of it in a coloring page. I was really enjoying drawing these thin leaves, I think. because I drew a lot of them. Of course, the thin leaves means I need to use, definitely, the thin part of the marker. There we go. Or I won't be able to do any of the detail color. We got some over here. And there. And more over here. I drew a lot of thin leaves. Then the medium, I actually went with yellow for the medium instead of the lighter color. Come on. This is Y2 Sunflower, and I chose it because it blends well, but also I think I chose it because I liked the name. I like the sunflowers, so that happened. But again, yellow makes green, so it does blend well with the green. This is a slightly darker yellow than the ones I used in the one I used in the wider leaves, and you're probably gonna see that here as it blends with this green. It's not a drastic change, but slight differences kind of make a, visually interesting difference. So instead of just being all the exact same shade of green, you get a little variety. There we go. That was the medium, and then the light color is actually going to be a very light yellow-green, GY4. So, let's see, it's not a drastic difference, but they are slightly different, the greens in the leaves. And I'll be using different pencils as well on these. And when you put pencil over the marker, they blend with the markers beneath them. So that'll affect the colors as well. Go. Look at that. Oh, I almost forgot these. See, is what I'm saying. I gotta make sure I don't forget any. Alright. Next is, these little green pieces. So first I have, let's see here. Why are... over here. I got the wrong thing. This is the one I wanted. YR34, yellow. Very straightforward. Told you, I planned everything last night. I was kind of tired when I planned it, so now I have to go back in my memory. And I pulled the markers aside, you know, as I was planning the colors. But that doesn't mean I absolutely remember the whole strategy I came up with last night. Just gently going down the very center of these real quick. And that's it. I mean, they're very thin, so instead of doing a dark, medium, and light, I'm just going to do a dark and light. So that was the dark, and this is Y3, which is barium yellow. And it's going to go just right over the rest of those, the areas. It'll blend with that darker yellow. But still make it two-tone, so a dark and a light, so it'll be visually interesting. Down here. Fill it in quickly. Thank goodness for the fine tip ends of these markers. We have some complementary color play going on here. Complementary colors are opposites on the color wheel, and the green and red, complementary colors. Yellow and purple, complementary colors. Very nice. Also, real quick, I just saw I missed a petal, of course. So we're going to go back quickly, get the rest of that. I knew I'd forget something. There we go. And then just this, I want... YR2 Marigold. I'm just going to quickly get this hoop circle textured thing that I drew filled in. Go. Get little textured lines in there. There's Marigold. Then YR205, Powdery Orange. Dark. This is the medium. Don't want to lose these texture lines that I put in here. Makes it visually interesting. And then the light is R19, Barely Beige. I like Barely Beige. I use it a lot for one of my lighter colors. It blends really well with these other colors. Look at that. Ta-da! All right. So there's our painting underlayer of colors, super rich, very saturated, with lots of pigment because of the markers, which is what we want. Now I'm gonna put these over here, quickly get those out of the way. I have markers everywhere, and one marker is rolling away. Come back. Alright, squeaky chair. And now, I'm gonna get my pencils. Okay, so I had, these pencils were actually what I used on the links. And again, you can go check out that video if you want, because I talk a lot just about coloring fur on that one. And now I've sectioned off the colors. Again, I chose everything last night. Sectioned off the colors for each of these. And I start with something to show you here visually. A dark, medium, and light for each of these things. So this is the red rose, the red flower. I started with a dark, medium, and light red. And then I added a dark for accent. So again, 1, 2, 3, dark, medium, and light. One dark, one medium, one light. That's a starting point. And then you can always add to that palette with extra colors later on. So what I'm going to do, this is Copenhagen Blue 906. This is just to get some nice crisp, darker shadow in here. And I sat down this morning and quickly sharpened my pencils. And especially for crisp lines, you need a sharpened pencil. You need crisp, sharp pencils to make crisp, sharp lines. If you want softer lines, then you need more dull pencils. Look at that. I just really want there to be a nice contrast between the dark and light. So we need crisp dark shadows. Contrast is nice also just because it helps, just helps things stand out. When you have a nice contrast, visually or aesthetically, it pops off the page. The image will really pop off the page. There we go. And this blue is looking super rich on that red. But now I'm going to take this, which is raspberry. It's number 1030. And I'm going to go right over the dark blue I just did. So the colors, the pencil colors, they blend together, and they're blending with the markers underneath. So there's a few elements, I think, interacting and playing together here. It's another reason why it's good to test them on scrap paper first, if you want to, just to make sure they all play together nicely. But that's really making a nice, rich color, rich dark shadow. Beautiful. And the other thing is, so, you know, I had a dark, medium, and light for the markers. I gave them time to blend together, but I want an even smoother transition between the dark, medium, and light. And that's another area where color pencils can really help. They can let you have a more controlled and smoother transition in the shadows. Markers give you beautiful, rich color. Pencils give you fantastic control and details. There's the dark red. Medium is Pumpkin Orange 1032. I love this color. Where's my sharpener? I didn't sharpen this right. Let's try again. Can you hear me sharpening? There we go. Try this one. There we go. Today I'm just using my super handy Mr. Pen pencil sharpener. I know, fancy. We can go in a whole other conversation about comparing pencil sharpeners, but I like the Mr. Pen pencil sharpener. Gets the job done. Just getting my mid-tone quickly put in here. Mid-tone, sometimes I think of it as just sort of a bridge. It connects the dark to the light. So the darker areas connected to the lighter areas with the mid-tone. So it can go over the darker shadows, blending a bit, and start going towards the lighter areas, but it doesn't go to the very lightest areas. I want to save that for my lightest color, which is Blush Pink 928. And here I'm going to do some serious blending, because this is going to tie it all together. It's also why I go through a lot of lighter colored pencils, because they have a lot of work to do. They have to go over a lot more surface area as I use them for blending. But they do such a good job. Look at that. And even with all these layers of pencil over the top, you know, I still have all that marker work that I did. They're not getting lost. they're just changing, blending. Before I forget, leave a comment. Let me know if you use markers and pencils. What other markers, brand of markers and pencils would be a good combination, or should I try out together? Or do you use Ohuhu markers and Prismacolors together? Let me know. I'm always looking for, new coloring mediums that I should try out and see how they play together. Or, if there's something that you're curious about, you say, oh, there's certain markers or pencils that I've wanted to know if they're, worth putting together. Let me know. If I have them, maybe I can get them. We could try them out. Be fun. All right. So there's those. Wow, these are like really striking. Look at those colors. All right. Next, we're going to do purple. Again, I started with a dark, medium, and light. And then I added a darker color. So that was my thought process for the palette here. Oh, and guys, gotta remember, violet blue, 933. Again, I'm just going for some serious contrast with this darker color. Getting crisp, dark lines. There we go. I want the contrast between very dark and very light. So visually they're gonna stand out. Whee! I love drawing flowers. I draw a lot of animals. Obviously, I'm a pet portrait artist. That would make sense. But it's nice when I get to draw something different sometimes. And I really love the intricacy of flowers. Of course, animal fur is very intricate too. I'm not saying they're not, just flowers are unique, very different. And I like having opportunities to draw some different things. Alright, so there was the dark for extra emphasis. Now we're going with the original palette of dark, medium, and light. This is Imperial Violet 1007. So the other dark, it was just those crisp dark lines. Now I'm sort of filling in the shadows a bit more. So it's not just one thin dark line for that crisp contrast. Now we're getting a little more bulk in our shadows. There we go. And they don't have to be perfect. Remember, this is fun color time. I actually say that to my kids. This is fun color time. And we're filling in where the shadows are. This gives some nice color transition. And now we want the medium, which is Parma Violet 1008. And again, medium it's a bridge. It connects the dark with the light. Softens everything as we go. If you watch the first part where I did the fur, you know, that was all done with strokes of color, dashes of color. This part here with the leaves and the flowers and everything, I put the pencil down in little circles instead of dashes. So you don't really see the gesture or the, you know, my hand marks too much. And also it helps for a bit of a smoother blending. When you do dashes, I mean, it's perfect. Our little strokes of color on fur, so you keep that texture of the fur. But you know, flowers are different. So instead of dashes, I do small circles. Makes for a nice smooth transition. And the look is completely different from animal fur. This is so much faster with those markers underneath. Okay, so we had our extra dark, our medium, and now the light, which is grade lavender 1026. And again, this is the blender. We're blending all those other layers together. So it's going to go over a bit more surface area. And by blending all of the layers together like this, it's softening the look a little bit. See, little circles, blending. Not only with the other pencils, but with the marker underneath. So fun. I love doing this. Look how pretty those are. Just want to get this, the flowers done here. lots of little circles. That's where this comes in handy, by the way. This is a Mauve stick. People ask me sometimes, what's that stick your hand is resting on? It is a Mauve stick. It's been around, been used by artists since, I think, the 17th century. They've been around for a while. They're a common tool artists use. They lift the hand up off of the table, or off of the, the surface that they're working on, so they don't smudge it. It also provides a lot of support for my hand, my wrist, even my shoulder, so my shoulder doesn't get super tired doing all of this. If you want one, I'll put a link in the video description so you can get one for yourself. Or, it's just a stick with a ball on one end. So, not that difficult to make either if you're more of a DIY sort of person. Okay, I have a white pencil. Yes, I have longer white pencils, but I grabbed this one today, so we're using this little guy. And what I'm gonna do, I talked about dark, medium, and light, but I also talked a bit about contrast. So what I'm gonna do is just try and get an extra touch of contrast with the white pencil. So I'm not going all over, I'm not blending everything like I did with the lightest color in the palette. This is just for extra emphasis. An extra touch of highlight. The white is blending, obviously, with all the other colors. So it's not just white, not pure white. But I'm making sure to put it right next to some of the darkest areas of color, the darkest colors, just to really give me some nice contrast. Doing the reds first, just because if I don't go section by section, we all know I'm going to forget something. Because mentally, I have sort of tapped out with the whole kids away on a play date, summer relaxation time. Alright, so there's the red. And then I just have a scrap piece of paper. I'm wiping the tip of the white off, just so I don't accidentally smudge some red into the purple. But now we're going to go back. Get some white accents right next to those darker lines. Again. Get this little area here. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, but just a few white highlights can make a powerful difference. And it's so pretty. White. And this is just a white Prismacolor number 938. I think it's 938. I have it memorized off the top of my head. Yep, 938. Look at that. I have it memorized off the top of my head. You know you do a lot of coloring when you just have the numbers of the pencils memorized. Look at that. And just real quick, look at the difference between that and that. So, touch of white highlights, no white highlights yet. Almost there. If you're enjoying this relaxing coloring time with me, be sure and hit that like button. Let me know. It's also good motivation for me as an artist to keep going when I get all those likes. Alright, so flowers are done. Next up is, let's see here, the wider green leaves. So again, I have a dark, medium, and light green, and then extra dark. I don't know. It's just a theme I'm going with for this one. Dark, medium, and light. Extra dark for bam, super rich shadows. So, getting my rich shadows, but only on the wide leaves for this part, not the thin leaves. Here we go. So I'm not going too wide because these are just the dark lines for extra emphasis. There we go. That's a fun line. Look at that line. Whee! A lot of the, like I said, the planning for the shading was already done with the creation of the grayscale coloring page. And that's kind of nice, because sometimes I don't want to have to sit and think about, you know, direction of lighting when I just want to jump into coloring. It also helps add very quickly that feel of realism to the image. You know, just sort of add color and bam, you have more realistic looking art. It's fun. And go here. And I'm not gonna forget him over here. Go. Look at that. So that's the super dark for contrast. Now we have grass green, 909. Now we're gonna add a little more weight to those shadowy areas. Blend in with that real dark blue. And again, I knew the blue would blend with the green because blue makes green. You can go a totally different way, by the way, with shadows. If you don't want to do this sort of look where the colors are super rich and vibrant, you can dull it down in your shadows. If you take the complementary color of green, which I already said is red, and you put the red, like a dark red instead of a dark blue, it will actually dull down the color. It's a completely different look. It's actually really nice sometimes. So instead of that dark blue, if I had taken a dark red and then put this green over it, it would dull down this color quite a bit. But I really wanted bright, so I'm putting the complementary colors near each other, green, red, complementary, next to each other, but I'm not blending them together. That would dull the colors themselves. But, I mean, it's good to, you know, keep in mind, say you put a color down on paper and you go, oh my gosh, that is just way too bright. That is not my mood today. I don't want it. Get the complementary color, whatever is opposite of that color on the color wheel, and just blend it slightly with that color. It'll dull it down. Make it way more mellow. Kind of a good cheat. Painters do that a lot. If they put a color down on the canvas and all of a sudden they go, oh my gosh, no, that just went way too crazy. They'll get its complementary color, quickly mix it, and put it on there. Calms down the whole thing. But I'm not doing that today. Okay. So now is the medium, which is Spring Green 913. Today I wanted my colors to really pop off the page. I don't know. It must be my mood. Time to stand out. Also, it's summer, and, you know, bright colors, summer. For those who don't know, I'm in upstate New York, so we don't get a very long summer. We only get a few months of sunshine. So I really, really appreciate the bright colors and the sunshine when I can get them. Look at those. This medium tone is really doing the work today. Look at that in these leaves. Look at that. Alright, and now we have the light, which is a Chartreuse 989. And lightest color for this particular palette, so it's going to do a lot of the blending. And go right over the dark and the medium. Blend all the layers of pencil and colors together. Smooth the entire surface. I think I also wanted, you know, bright and smooth, just because look at the contrast between that and that. I mean, how fun is it? Having these next to the links. And I am pressing harder with this lighter pencil while it's doing all this blending. With the medium tone, whenever I apply the medium tones, I don't press as hard because, again, it's that bridge. It's connecting the dark and the light. And I don't press as hard because it's blending gently the two dark and light together. It's that light color where I press darker and I really get blending done. Alright, Next, I need to move my pencils because I have the next color palettes on the other side. Doo-doo-doo. Look at that. All right. Next is the thin leaves, and I want... Oh, they're over this way because I turned it. Okay. Dark, medium, and light. I did not go for a super dark with the thin leaves. Again, I wanted them to look a bit different from the wide leaves. So I'm starting with just a dark green, or moss green 1097. So they're not going to have the same dark line making them, you know, pop with the contrast. But I am doing dark, medium, and light. So we're going to get volume still. I have to find all the thin leaves. I drew a lot of thin leaves. Oh my gosh, thin leaves everywhere. Okay. And since I used, you know, slightly different markers as the underpainting and now different pencils on top, we're going to have two, you know, different looking greens. Green leaves. Just getting the dark shadows in there. Goes so fast with markers underneath. Wow. Look at that. Look how fast that is. Okay. Then, medium is the Line Peel 1005. Yes, I say the numbers too, not just the name of the color. So the medium, again, I'm not pressing super hard. It's blending with the darkest. It will blend with the lighter. The lighter color will be the one where I press down and fill in the tooth of the paper with it. With the color. Go. And then the light. So this is the one where I press down, do more of the blending. Pale Sage, 1089. And check out this light green. Look at that. This is one of those light colors that definitely does the work when it's blending. It is fabulous as a light color for blending with other greens. I love this color. Great for contrast with the darker greens. Very smooth for blending. I really like this. I really like this color green. These leaves are pretty narrow, so instead of doing the little circles, like I've been doing this whole time for the others, just gonna be doing a stroke of color. Stroke, 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 because they're just very, very narrow. I don't have a lot of room to do my little circles. All right. Now we're gonna do these, and I just did the two marker colors on these grains. But now I do have a dark, medium, and light. This is just good old-fashioned orange, 918. And I'm going to go down the very center and do just a little bit of color in the very center. Again, I don't have a lot of wiggle room with the super narrow things, so I have to be minimal in my movements. Otherwise I'll just, you know, cover the whole surface area with one color and then there's no room for anything else. Spanish orange 1003. Gonna go right over that center I just did. Just make it visually a bit more interesting with another color in there. And these are fast because there's just not a lot of stuff to color here. And then Canary Yellow 916. That's our light, and it's gonna blend the whole thing together. And again, it's not very drastic. You're not getting an insane amount going on here because they're very narrow, but there is a bit of texture, you know, a bit of variety in the color. Makes it really interesting. And I want the layers of yellow color because, again, we have a little bit of a complementary color thing going on here. So that yellow being opposite of the purple, they're gonna help each other stand out. If I wanted to dull the yellow, I would have mixed purple in it. Like actually put purple in the yellow. That would have dulled this. More dull, more muted colors. You know, there's lots of ways you can say that. Next is just this hoop. And I did start with a dark, medium, and light. But then I decided to go again with a darker line. Violet 932. And just gonna put it down. Again, contrast of dark and light, make it visually more interesting. And then this is Sienna Brown 945. So this is the dark that we'll be blending with the violet. And by putting the violet in this, in the darker areas of this, the hoop, it is going to mute them a bit. It's not one of the plants, so I'm letting the colors be a little bit more muted by adding that violet to the brown. Which makes sense, because remember I said if you mix colors that are already part of each other together, you're not going to dull the colors. Violet is not a part of brown. So by adding that as the darker line, it is going to dull the hoop a bit. It's going to dull or mute the richness of the darker brown. Which I want because it's not a plant, and I wanted the plants to really, you know, pop with the color. The hoop was more of a compositional accent when I was drawing this. Just sort of completes that circle look. This was the medium, and it was Clay Rose 1017. Look, I remember to say the color. Okay, and then the light is Ginger Root 1084. And this is going to blend, because it's the lighter color, blend all those other layers of color together. That's its job. It's going to, again, I have to do lines instead of little circles because of the shape and the texture, but it is blending still, even though I'm using lines instead of little circles. And you can tell, look at the hoop versus look at the shadows, you know, in the plants. Very different sense of the shading, and the richness of the color just isn't there. Which is what I want, because I don't want the hoop to really stand out too much. I really wanted the really rich flowers to stand out visually. And let me see here. Did I forget anything? Oh, white. See, there's always more. Where's my Mr. Pen? Hello. There's my sharpener. I have to get my next my next white. But we're gonna use this to the bitter end for now. Alright. Little bit of contrast. White there. Don't have to go crazy with the white. It's just for accent. But you can definitely see, I think, how we're getting some serious contrast, which helps these elements, the leaves and the flowers, really pop off the page. There we go. Just dashes of white. Which are blending with the colors underneath. And we have contrast. A little bit here, a little bit here. I have to wipe off all that green so I can get just a smidge of white on there. There we go. All right, well, that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me in the studio. Remember to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video, and stay creative.